They thought we were just another primitive species, another speck of dust in an infinite cosmos, another group of hairless apes with delusions of grandeur. But let me tell you something, when you corner a human, when you strip away their comforts and push them to the edge, that's when you see what we're really made of. And the galaxy? Oh, it found out the hard way. It all started with the Council of Elders, the so-called galactic overseers. They'd been around for thousands of years, long before humanity even figured out how to sharpen a stick. A collection of ancient, self-righteous alien species who decided they had the moral authority to dictate the rules of the universe. No war without permission, no expansion without approval, no technological advancement beyond what they deemed safe. They claimed it was for the greater good. We called it what it was, galactic babysitting. At first, humanity played along. What choice did we have? Earth was still recovering from centuries of internal conflict, climate disasters, and the occasional bout of stupidity. When the aliens showed up, we were like kids at a carnival, wide-eyed and eager to prove ourselves. We joined their council, sat at their table, and nodded politely as they patted us on the head and told us to stay in our lane. But humans, we don't do well with lanes, do we? The breaking point came during the siege of Epsilon Eridani. A rogue faction of insectoid creatures, the Crixith, decided they didn't need the Council's permission to start conquering planets. They hit one colony after another, leaving nothing but ash and bone in their wake. And when they set their compound eyes on Epsilon Eridani, humanity's newest and most vulnerable colony, we begged the Council for help. Do you know what they said? It's not within our jurisdiction. Not within their jurisdiction. The colony was burning, families were being slaughtered, and these ancient bureaucrats couldn't be bothered to lift a finger because it didn't fit into their precious rule book. So we did what humans do best. We ignored the rules. The United Nations Space Command mobilized every ship, every soldier, every ounce of firepower we had. The Council called it reckless. They called it illegal. We called it Tuesday. The battle was brutal, chaotic, and exactly what you'd expect when humans are involved. We didn't fight fair, we fought to win. And when the smoke cleared, the Crixith weren't just defeated, they were obliterated. Not a single hive ship left, not a single drone to crawl back to whatever hellhole they came from. You'd think the Council would have thanked us, maybe given us a medal or a pat on the back. Instead, they summoned us to their grand chamber, a massive cathedral-like structure floating in the void of space. Picture the Sistine Chapel, but with more tentacles and less charm. Every species in the galaxy was represented there, each one looking down at us like we were unruly children who'd broken curfew. The High Arbiter, a gelatinous blob with too many eyes and not enough spine, floated to the center of the chamber. Humanity, it gurgled, its voice dripping with condescension. You have violated the sacred tenets of the Council. Your actions have endangered the balance of the galaxy. For this, you are hereby expelled from the Council of Elders. Expelled, like we were some kind of interstellar fraternity that got caught throwing a kegger. Now here's where things get interesting. Most species, when faced with the wrath of the Council, would grovel, beg for forgiveness, promise to never step out of line again. But humans? Nah. We don't beg. We don't grovel. We lean in. Admiral Marcus Steele, the man who led the charge at Epsilon Eridani, stepped forward. If you've never heard of him, imagine if John Wick had a baby with a grizzly bear and then raised it on a steady diet of whiskey and revenge. That's Marcus Steele. He looked the High Arbiter dead in all 17 of its eyes and said, "You're banning us. Good, because we're done asking for permission." The chamber erupted into chaos. Aliens chittering, growling, and squawking in disbelief. The High Arbiter tried to regain control, but Steele wasn't finished. You sit here in your ivory tower pretending to be gods while the galaxy burns. Well, guess what? Humanity doesn't need gods. We don't need your rules. And we sure as hell don't need your permission to defend ourselves. And just like that, humanity walked out of the Council, or more accurately, we stormed out. Heads held high, middle fingers metaphorically raised. It was a declaration of independence on a galactic scale. No more leash, no more oversight, just us against the universe. At first, The other species thought we'd crumble. They called us arrogant, impulsive, suicidal. But here's the thing about humans: we thrive under pressure. Give us a challenge and we'll meet it. Push us into a corner and we'll come out swinging. And when the galaxy turned its back on us, we didn't just survive, we thrived. We built fleets that could blot out the stars, weapons that could turn entire planets into glass, AI systems so advanced they made the Council's tech look like stone tools. And we didn't stop there. We explored, we expanded, we colonized worlds the Council deemed too dangerous or off limits. Every time they wagged their finger at us, we flipped them the bird and kept moving forward. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were wars, assassination attempts, the occasional diplomatic incident involving a drunken human ambassador and a very confused reptilian dignitary. But through it all, we persevered. Because that's what we do. Fast forward a few decades, and the galaxy looks a little different. The Council, they're still sitting in their fancy chamber, arguing over whether to use blue or green ink for their next resolution. Meanwhile, humanity controls half the known galaxy. Our colonies are thriving. Our fleets are unmatched. And the other species? Let's just say they've learned to tread carefully around us. Every now and then, the Council tries to reassert its authority. They send envoys, offer treaties, even try to bribe us with access to their ancient archives. But we always give them the same answer. Thanks, but no thanks. We're doing just fine on our own. And you know what? We are, because humanity isn't just surviving. We're leading, innovating, dominating. The galaxy may not have wanted us, but now it can't ignore us. We're the underdog that became the alpha, the scrappy newcomer that took over the game. So the next time someone tells you humanity doesn't belong among the stars, just smile and remind them, we don't just belong, we own the damn place. But owning the galaxy isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It's not just fleets and colonies and swaggering speeches. No, it's a messy business. And if there's one thing humans excel at, besides punching above our weight, it's making things messy. Take the story of Draxur Prime, for example, a planet so rich in resources that it could single-handedly fuel an empire for centuries. The Council had declared it sacred ground, off limits to mining or colonization. Something about preserving its natural beauty and respecting the ancient ruins scattered across its surface. Humanity? We saw it as an opportunity. Sacred ground? More like untapped potential. When we landed on Draxur Prime, the Council sent their first warning, a polite message dripping with passive-aggressive undertones. Humanity, your actions are in direct violation of galactic law. Cease operations immediately. Admiral Steele read the message, chuckled, and forwarded it to his team with the subject line, LOL. We started mining, building cities, terraforming. The Council escalated, sending a fleet of ships to blockade the planet. They didn't fire a single shot, they just sat there, floating ominously in orbit, hoping we'd back down. But humans don't back down. Instead, we invited them to dinner, I kid you not. Steele personally invited the alien commanders to a banquet on Draxur Prime. Picture this, a massive feast, tables piled high, with food from every corner of Earth. Steaks sizzling, wine flowing, music blasting. The alien commanders were confused, but curious. After all, who turns down free food? And here's the kicker. While they were busy stuffing their faces, Steele's engineers hacked their ships, disabled their weapons, scrambled their communications, and rigged their engines to self-destruct if they tried anything funny. By the time dessert was served, the blockade was over. The alien commanders left with full stomachs and empty threats, and humanity kept right on mining. That's the thing about us. We don't just fight wars. We win them before they even start. Sometimes with brute force, sometimes with cunning, and sometimes with steak dinners. It's not always pretty, but it works. Of course, not everyone in the galaxy is thrilled about humanity's rise. There are whispers in the shadows, secret alliances forming, species plotting revenge. The Council, desperate to regain control, has been quietly funding insurgencies against human colonies. They think we don't know. They think they're clever. But we've got eyes everywhere. Satellites, spies, AI systems monitoring every transmission in the galaxy. If someone so much as sneezes in our direction, we know about it. Take the incident on Varna 7, a small, unassuming colony on the edge of human space. The Council thought it would be an easy target, a chance to send a message without risking a full-scale war. They hired mercenaries, armed them to the teeth, and sent them to raid the colony. Burn the crops, destroy the infrastructure, terrorize the population. Standard intimidation tactics. What they didn't count on was Sergeant Rebecca Hayes. Hayes was stationed on Varnus 7 as part of a routine security detail. She wasn't some big shot commander or legendary war hero, just a soldier doing her job. But when the mercenaries attacked, she didn't wait for orders. She rallied the colonists, set up defenses, and turned the settlement into a fortress. Farmers became snipers, engineers built traps. Even the local bartender got involved, rigging bottles of moonshine into makeshift explosives. By the time reinforcements arrived, the mercenaries were either dead, captured, or running for their lives. The council denied any involvement, of course, claimed it was a rogue operation, completely unrelated to their policies. But Hayes knew better, and so did Steele. The retaliation was swift and brutal. Every mercenary base in the sector was wiped out, every supply line cut, every safe house exposed. It wasn't just a response, it was a message. Mess with humanity and you'll regret it. Stories like these have become the stuff of legend, tales of human ingenuity, resilience, and downright audacity spreading across the galaxy. Some species admire us, others fear us. A few even try to emulate us, though they usually fail. Because here's the thing, you can copy our technology, mimic our strategies, even steal our recipes for steak dinners. But you can't replicate what makes us human. It's not just our brains or our brawn, it's our spirit. That stubborn, unyielding determination to keep pushing forward, no matter the odds. To turn obstacles into opportunities. To laugh in the face of danger and crack jokes in the middle of a firefight. Like the time Captain Elias Carter, pinned down by enemy forces on Tau Ceti 4, radioed his squad with the words, "I'm out of ammo, but I've still got insults. Cover me." Or the time Dr. Maria Chen, tasked with developing a cure for a deadly alien plague, discovered the solution while binge-watching old episodes of Breaking Bad. Turns out, the chemical structure of the cure was eerily similar to blue meth. Don't ask. Then there's the infamous space turkey incident during a diplomatic summit with the reptilian Zarnak Empire. Someone, no one knows who, thought it would be hilarious to serve roasted turkey as the main course. The Zarnak, whose ancestors evolved from carnivorous birds, were understandably offended. The summit nearly devolved into a brawl until Ambassador Julian Price defused the situation by standing up, raising his glass, and declaring, "Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a toast to the galaxy's tastiest predator." The Zarnak laughed. Crisis averted. Humanity strikes again. These moments, these stories, they're what define us, not just our victories, but the way we achieve them, with grit, humor, and a healthy dose of chaos. The galaxy may not always understand us, but it can't ignore us. We're the wild card in a deck full of rules, the unpredictable variable in an equation that's been stagnant for millennia. And we're just getting started. Because here's the truth, humanity doesn't want to control the galaxy. We don't care about power or dominance or sitting on some cosmic throne. What we care about is freedom. The freedom to explore, to innovate, to protect what's ours. The freedom to be ourselves, unapologetically and unrelentingly human. So, to the Council, to the insurgents, to anyone who thinks they can stop us, I have one piece of advice. Don't. Save yourself the trouble, because humanity isn't just a species. We're a force of nature, and you can't ban a hurricane. You can't expel a wildfire. You can't contain the unstoppable. You can only watch and hope you survive the storm.